to me, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but it's gotta meet your needs and your professional development and how you wanna do these things.
So
I don't think we can determine now what we
Right.
need, but I think we can have a special priority to say over the course of the next 12 months, and right, like you said, Joan, with the professional, come to some sort of agreement as to what it should be.
Well, maybe you could do define and develop board, professional development, you know, with the consultant or something
That's a
coming
good
over
one.
the
That's
next
what I
year.
was- Yeah.
Because then you're making it your
What is it?
priority
Yeah.
of that you're gonna work on this, we're bringing somebody in, and then, you know,
That'd be
defining,
better.
that, just a suggestion.
I think that's a good suggestion. Let's do it.
Because most of the time our problem is trying to get,
Define and
As many
develop
board
the
members
Board
as
of
you
Trustee
can.
professional development plan. And then you can develop your board professional development plan this year with the trustee, or whatever words you want on it.
because a lot of times in the past, the problem has been trying to get us together for,
Well, that's never good, no
That- yeah.
consultant, you can't leave that on him, I mean.
I know that, but what I'm saying in the past, that's why we haven't
Yeah.
really developed a strategy for meetings, because sometimes people can't make it, so it ends up that the secretary is contacting every one of us 3 or 4 times to find out when we can come up with a date.
Well, you
to have-
guys have
and,
all committed to the full day and the half day
Well,
already.
that's,
And you already committed to me, because I've told this to the consultant, when he gets back from wherever he is right now, you know, sometime the 1st of October, Graciela is gonna be setting up slates of time for you to have your one-on-one interviews. So you've already committed
but I
that
think that is a #1 priority for all of us.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that, okay, let's have a meeting to discuss this and then see if we can set a date.
alright.
And then most of the time, we change the date 2 or 3 times because we all can't be there at the same time, or we can't have 6 out of 7 or whatever it is, so. I think that's good. We've
Yeah, this is much.
developed a plan and,
So we're taking out the schedule a minimum of 4 and putting in define and develop?
Yeah.
Well, I will still, when there's things that come up, like
Yeah.
the off-campus centers and other things, I mean, I'll still be putting together things for you and talking to you about that, but this is something different that I think you want a more refined plan, and I think this is something you could do with the consultant.
Yeah, and I think, Joan, you should continue to, whenever we need to, you know, if it's to talk about negotiations, then, you know, we call a special meeting.
Yeah, in an hour early or something
Yeah.
like that,
yeah,
yeah.
that's.
I think you
But
need to
I don't,
continue.
I do see it's a little different, but whatever you wanna call it, and part of it, I use those terms because they're legal, and, you know, to call together a board meeting, like a study session or whatever, more time, you know, those are things we have to note for closed session, open session, what we're doing, so I just use the legal terms for that, cause I don't know what other words to call it.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to number 6. We already kind of touched on this. Any other comments?
Should that just be an ongoing
Yeah,
concept? I mean, priority, it's not really special, is it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
so we could remove that one.
I'd remove it.
Okay.
Yeah, that gets us in trouble.
Delete.
Got it?
Delete number 6.
You know, I just thought of a potential one though,
Okay,
and that is
up to new.
the centers. I think we need to educate the communities about the problems with the centers.
Yeah, that's
Before that's gonna continue to fester if we don't get out there and tell them.
You're exactly correct.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people get, you know, the state's doing stuff to everybody else.
Yeah,
So
I
I
have
think
to-
they'll understand.
I have to keep telling people, remember I told you 10 years possibly, you know, so they think tomorrow we're gonna break ground on something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to know too.
Okay, Mike, did you wanna?
And to that end, I'm working on the CBOC report for the end of the year, and I was going to, I'm not ready with the language yet, but I was gonna share it with you, with the trustees in the October, board meeting, to just say, here's what I was gonna write in there with respect to it, and get your feedback on some of those things, but yeah.
You know, under this
Gotta
area,
get that.
like
Especially-
in my district,
I'm getting
I know
flack.
Joan sent me a little kind of a estimated of what it would cost to develop that property if and when. But my thinking is that if we could develop, and I don't know, I would have to work with you, I think, is to say, here's what we need in Turlock, because that's what people are asking me. You go for anywhere from remedial classes to outreach to, you know, they're having all kinds of concerns about what we should put out there. And I'm saying we can't do anything until we develop some kind of a formula and plan that says what is needed in our area. Patterson is pretty good because you've got all that industry going in there, and the workforce development program is really important in that area. And trying to develop an importance that I can tell the community, well, when and if, here's what we would like to do, whether it's the dairy industry or the business industry, or how do we want to push a site if and when we would develop one. And see, I don't have an answer for that. Maybe that would help me in trying to develop a partnership, like maybe Blue Diamond or the dairy industry or something like that. But
I would have agreed with that until I saw that presentation that we had, which shows that I don't know when we're ever gonna be able to do that, and I wanna do something to address the false hopes that people have. And I'm afraid, that would be ideal if things were going how we originally planned.
yeah,
But after seeing those, I mean, the students we have to be able to get, I mean, that's not coming anytime soon, if
Not
I
in our
understood that
lifetime.
correctly.
No, and
well, I've never tied down saying that there is going to be a center. My question is that if and when we develop something, what is it that we need in our community? Maybe working with the
Yeah.
college.
We
or-
would have to assess that at the time.
At the time.
But right now, I hope you will share that our classes both at Pittman and at Turlock High
Yes.
are serving the community. The enrollment reflects that it is primarily community and not high schoolers that are enrolled in those classes, which is a surprise to
And I
us.
know that. I even had to educate the principal that it was happening.
So those are expanding. We're actually adding more sections right now.
see, here's
Jill,
the big
I got that.
difference, and I really need to say this. It's like we are serving the communities, and we are out there, and we are in the high schools, and we are doing a lot of those things. It's just not with brick and mortar buildings, and I think that's where the mindset
Yes.
comes in. And I really understand this because I hear it all the time too. It's like, I stuffed envelopes. I did this. We were going to have this. And I'm just saying, no one knew at the time, 10 years ago, when you're stuffing envelopes. And it's very different to talk about when the state is giving you all these monies to build a brick and mortar building with 250 FTS for a goal versus 1,000. And also no money. And that $1 million that they gave you, a lot extra when you hit those FTS targets, gave you the operational funds for the center. And even if we get business partnerships and build a center, unless the business is going to continually fund those buildings, we are not going to have the money to do the ongoing of everything that's required by the accrediting commission to keep those open. So you're getting sandwiched from every which way. And but to say we're not serving the communities isn't fair. You know, the presidents are out in those communities, they're making contacts, and I gotta tell you this, there also could maybe be some courses taught on site at Cal State Stanislaus eventually. Jill has got a fabulous relationship with the president out there. Angie's building a fabulous relationship out in Tuolumne County and Calaveras County, and Jill is also building a really nice one in the Patterson areas with Chignon and other people. We're not ignoring any of the people. And Oakdale, we're out there doing what we're supposed to be doing.
You hit it on the head, it's the brick and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they know how many people are taking the classes at the high schools.
Right.
They
And
wanna
so,
see their
So it's
tax
part of it.
dollars in their
Right.
town, is what they
right,
want.
and really,
And not have to
because
drive.
Would the enrollment
Two things.
would MJC's enrollment management plan detail what's going on, what the needs of the community are, by community, and how you're serving those needs?
Well, those needs are determined and reflected in the enrollment. So where we can see it is when we detail into the enrollment, into those sections, and look at the zip codes of the students. So that tells us where they're coming from, and just by the number in the classes, we see where the interest lies. They vote with their feet.
Well, can we have a, I know we're always asking things, but is there any way to access information that says these are the classes that are being offered and these are the enrollments?
Yes, it's online. If you go and look at our class schedule, you can see all of that.
I'm not a novice, I'm a novice on the
Okay,
computer.
so we can send that
Have
to you.
Ann help me or something.
Joe can print it out for those areas and give it to you next month. And that would
Now,
be
there's no hurry
after,
on it, it's just,
but after the
but we're
enrollment
still-
settled down, she could print those out and give them to
but
you.
we're
and so could
still,
Angie.
the questions I have is that we're still losing students to Merced College.
Well, we're
And the
losing
fallacy is
student.
that they can't get classes here at
Well, that's a different
MJC,
issue,
yeah.
and a brick and mortar building is not gonna change that issue. That's another issue that we were talking
Well,
about
there's
the
a
last
fallacy in
4
thinking
hours.
that the community thinks that, yes, it will.
Well, but
Because there's
Alright.
environmental factors, fog, 2 months out of the
Right.
year, and they let their kids.
But Abe, here's what I'm saying, is there are classes being offered in Turlock, they are at Pittman, they are at other places, and the enrollment there is incredibly good. So it's not a matter of, it's how we start informing the community, and it's our PR, and it's how we take it out there, and it's how we address the issue with brick and mortar. It's not, and there are other issues why students are going to Merced that, and San Joaquin Delta, that we've been talking about the last 4 hours today, and how to work it, that we'll talk to you about a little later. But that's,
Well, I don't wanna go on
yeah.
anymore, that's.
So could we kind of move on? Mike,
Yes,
you've got
yes.
some new board priorities that you've submitted to us. Would you like to speak to those?
Well, I don't know if they're new. On number 3 on mine, I think we all agreed that Abe was gonna chair a committee to come up with a new chancellor valuation, so I think we ought to be accountable and do that, and so putting it as a
Okay.
special
And I'll
priority.
get that done.
So you want that added to our priorities so that when we come back and revisit this, we'll say, did we do that? Okay.
And that's an accomplished.
Yeah, we can do accomplish that.
Graciela, did you get that?
I'm grabbing a copy of that.
Okay.
I have a suggestion too for new, after
That's-
Mike's.
Would be number 3.
And on number 4, sabbaticals is something that's gotten under the skin of more than one
been-
trustee.
We've been,
And
Somebody
it
dropped
seems,
keys, Mike, is that
and
you?
it seems like we focus our displeasure on the presidents who have limited ability to really, in terms of, do that. I mean, there's Academic Senate has the committee that develops, or who's the one that determines who gets what?
YFA, union.
YFA. So I would say, I think it could be a positive thing, and it could be an encouragement that, hey, your sabbatical is gonna go up in front of the board, and I've gotta defend it, so let's, is this really a thing that you want shared publicly as to how you're spending your sabbatical? So I would like to come up with a policy, and it would probably require negotiations, because it is with YFE, to put more of the, not all, but more of the accountability on the YFA or Academic Senate, however they would structure it.
we fought this for how long, Ann? Just-
Well,
Well, you can put it on, I would put it on as a priority, and we'll use it as a hammer like we do for everything else. So, I mean, it's fine with us, we don't have an issue with it. Gina's our new negotiator, she'll get it by fall, right, next fall?
2050, yeah.
No, But, I mean, it's seriously, we could do that and say it's a board priority, and this is what the board wants to see with them.
Do we develop some kind of a negative connotation by doing it? I mean, all we can do is deny them, and when we deny them, we're going against the recommendation of the president and.
well, I think the hope is that we won't have to deny them if they have
But
to.
you
Well,
know-
that's
Yeah.
that's
You
the other
can,
side of the stone, that, that.
you can just say I think you could maybe word it a little different. Just say, develop and implement a new reporting procedure format for faculty sabbaticals that's informative to the Board of Trustees. You know, in a way, Columbia does this in that they have, because they're smaller, it's easier, but they have their sabbatical presentations in the spring at their in-service day, but they're smaller faculty, so you can do their sabbaticals for the year, which are 2.5 as part of the day. If MJC has 14, that's a little hard on Institute Day, people will be dropping like flies.
But I think he's talking about before they're granted. You're talking about afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, but either way, but I'm just giving you an
You're still using
example.
the format.
But the afterwards part really kind of tightens the front part. Because if people know that they have to do a public presentation of it to everybody, it's almost like self-monitoring, because if somebody's presentation isn't that good, it like pulls it down for everybody, and they get enhanced by doing that. So if there was some way where, I'm just throwing this up for like not even thinking or talking to Jill or whatever, but just having like a sabbatical report day, you know, and have like a Friday, 3 Fridays in the spring semester or something at MJC, where every person who had a sabbatical is given a time slot where it's their opportunity to present and share the information, and then it's open to the public or the trustees or whoever wants to come. You won't hit them all, but you'll hit enough where if somebody is asked to present something, it's the rare person, and then there's other issues, that doesn't really want to make a good presentation and promote what they're doing. And then it's peer pressure to make them do a better one, and it's kind of taken off of everybody else. Because I've seen them improve with Columbia that, and not saying that everyone has been great, but the ones that weren't, the peer pressure to upgrade them has been pretty, wouldn't you say, Lynn? From
No,
watching them
years
through the
ago,
years?
years ago, and I haven't done this probably for the last 7 or 8 years at least. They used to have them in the library, as a copy of sabbatical.
They still do.
They still do? And I haven't done that lately, so.
But having to read the report in the
No,
library
I understand
is
that. I'm just
very
saying, do
different
they
than
still, I was
somebody
just
getting
asking,
up doing a
do
presentation.
they still do that? That's.
Yes, and some of them are this big and some of them are
Yeah,
binders.
yeah, I remember that, because I used to go in and read them, and they were, that was after they completed whatever it was.
So then, getting back to what we're talking about here, do we want to develop an actual policy that speaks to sabbaticals, or do we just
I'd
wanna-
say it's more, to me, when you're starting about policies, then you're going down a road of just
Yeah.
muck. I would say if you make it a
reporting
board
procedure?
special priority, then Gina has that to use when she's in negotiations. And again, it's kind of like, you're giving us tools to work with to get what you want. You're giving us tools, and I see that as a way to do it.
Okay. So, do you like what we have up there, Mike? Does that meet what you were getting at?
Was there a piece
I think Joan added a few extra words to that.
I did. I
which was
said
fine.
develop and implement a new reporting procedure format for faculty sabbaticals, that's informative to the board, or that, that is something like that, that's informative to the board, or that is inclusive of the board, or that includes the board,
Informs.
or that informs the board, or
Informs, yeah.
something like that. That is informative to the board, or
I
something.
like that informs the board.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
so
good.
there you go. I forgot what I said the first time.
Okay. All right, so have we gotten through all the ones that you had on there, Mike? I know, Ann, you said you
Yes,
had.
To inform
Okay.
the Board of Trustees.
You had
So we're gonna skip 1 and 2 on your thing.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
We're gonna skip 1 and 2 on your stuff at this time.
Number 2, I think that.
Oh, we already
we've
included
We've got that.
Okay.
And number 1 is just a thought. I
Okay.
think more is less.
Okay.
Or I think less is more.
Okay.
And I just sometimes think the packet that we get has so much information, to keep focus on.
Then how about I just work with you on that when we have the consultant here? And then maybe we can just work on, some other ideas or whatever, and just kind of handle that. And then I'll work with you, I'll start sending out things differently, and you guys can give me feedback. I like this, don't like it, too much, not enough, and we can go from there.
Okay,
right, my special priority, I'm gonna need all your help on the wording, but actually the suggestion came from Joan at one of our, I think at one of our study sessions, and that, no surprise to anyone, I've always wanted more participation by our staff, faculty at graduation. And Joan said, why don't you put that in as a special priority? So I would like to put, I don't know the wording, but to put in something that the board, you know, would look favorably upon higher participation rates, you know.
Encourage.
Word is
kinda-
encourage.
I would say encourage.
Encourage.
Good word, Tom. Yeah, just encourage participation of YCCD faculty in their college graduations.
Okay, and is it more than faculty? Because sometimes I know there are people like.
Those are
Vanessa-
volunteers.
Those are volunteers, so I really don't see the volunteers as having a problem. I would
Okay.
say really what you want is faculty in gowns in the seats.
So no volunteer would felt excluded from that?
No.
Okay, that's,
Denise participates as an adjunct.
okay,
She's taught
She's
for
an adjunct.
MJC for years.
I didn't know that, okay.
It's-
I know she is now.
It
but
must
I
be
didn't
that
know.
we all notice it, which is just, but I've never heard a comment from the general public that there wasn't enough faculty out there. I mean,
No.
They don't know how many we have.
well, I think they do.
But if that's what you, if that's what you want, I mean, I don't have a
Well,
problem with
I
it
don't-
one way or the other.
I don't think the general public is there for they're looking at their
For their
kids that are there.
kids, yeah, they're there for their
Like, give it a
kids, their
speech, you don't want a
students.
45-minute speech, 'cause they're there to get.
But I agree.
I don't see how we can say students are our number one priority and then have the people doing the teaching not show up. But they go to their own parties that night.
I think it's very impressive for Columbia to have
Yes.
all the
Yeah, they're in
faculty
the little.
Yes.
there. I think it
Confined
sends a,
area.
it sends a real strong message, a very
Again, that's peer
positive
pressure,
message.
and it's a culture there, and it's peer pressure.
Yeah, it's
And
very
if,
much a
if a
culture.
faculty did not show up there, the administration would not have to say a word, other faculty just pounds on them. I mean, they do.
They do.
You know
Where
that.
were you at
Well,
graduation?
I'm not against that because it says
Yeah.
encourage. I'm not against it, but
Not required, but
it's not
encouraged.
required, but they're encouraged. I'll agree with that.
Now, we have room for improvement, but we have had to add chairs the last 2 years for faculty.
That's
Yeah,
good,
and
because
it's
we've
good
been
to-
harping on it.
Get better.
But I think it's fine to have it as a special priority.
I do too. I like it.
I think it's good.
And,
I think
like,
encourage-
maybe, I don't know what this involves, but encouraging, can you give flex time for participating in graduation? I mean,
No,
could we?
No, don't even.
it doesn't fit the state.
Okay.
It
I
doesn't
don't
fit
know.
the
Leaving it
state
like that
standards.
is,
Okay.
I'll agree at leaving it like that, even
I don't
though,
think they should get.
even though my voted and everything, but I
It
would
should,
just,
it should be
Something
part of
that
their
they
job,
would-
it should be negotiated, but that's another.
the only thing I would add was, increase the, hors d'oeuvres.
Well, we do,
That will
they,
encourage
Jill,
participation.
Yeah.
Jill did put out some hors d'oeuvres and sandwiches last year,
No,
which
I
did
know,
make
that's
a
what I'm saying, but if
difference.
we're gonna have more faculty, then you can need more.
That's
Okay,
okay.
no, I'm sorry, that's not a,
It's 3:30.
Never
Okay.
hurts to feed people.
Quick
course
question,
not,
I
no.
just point of clarification, the one I have highlighted, is that one is added?
I didn't think that was a priority, is it? I just asked for some information.
No, I'd like it to be a
No,
No,
priority,
Tom
it needs to
added
be a
it,
priority.
and everybody
did he?
agreed,
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
the language
I agree.
okay?
need
Inform,
to-
educate, is there a preference on word?
YCCD community.
At
Surface
large.
area.
I'd say educate and inform the YCCD community at large, if that's what
There
you
you
were
go.
talking
The
about,
service
Tom.
area?
Slash service area? I think community at large sounds better, don't you, than service area?
Yeah.
Because community at large could also be our internal community,
Educate,
thanks.
inform,
Okay,
on the status of
Good.
education.
educate or inform, preference of word, or just left as is?
educate, inform. I like that.
I keep them
think
both.
it's both.
Yeah.
That's just me, but.
All right, we need to adjourn to closed session. End of
Oh, right
study
on time
session.
almost.
Yeah, pretty close.
We do have a full closed session.
All right. Off and running.
I'm impressed, you guys, you did it in 1 hour.
We did.
We got off to a slow start too.
And we don't have to do it again next month. I mean, this is good, you guys are getting it.
We are getting there.
Marty?
in a nutshell, is the
I think these are meaningful and measurable.